Hello viewers and welcome to today's tutorial. Today I want us to learn about a compulsory chord that every gospel piano player must know. This is actually part one of a six-part series for the compulsory chords for the beginners. And today we are looking at a chord which is known as the fully diminished chord. A fully diminished chord is also known as the diminished 7 chord. And by the way, this tutorial is in the scale of C major for simplicity so that those who are starting to play can actually follow. The fully diminished chord is a very unique chord. As you're going to see when we explain, in the previous videos we had explained about how to form the diminished triad, and we said that a diminished triad is actually formed by stacking two minor thirds away. Is a chord formed by striking notes which are actually three semitones away. So if you start from C, this three semitones, 1, 2, 3. So this gives us the diminished triad. But when we're looking at the fully diminished, we are adding the seventh in the diminished scale. So if this is our diminished triad, to it we stack in another minor third. Now this chord is a very unique chord. As unique as it is also very important. Now, why do I say that this chord is very unique? Look at it. In its formation, actually, we have notes which are very symmetrical in shape because they are three semitones away from each other. That is the whole chord. Then number two, this chord is unique in the sense that we can possibly have only three fully diminished chords in the keyboard. Let me illustrate that. If we have our C fully diminished, remember it has note C, D sharp, F sharp, and note A. This gives this chord. If we try to invert it, we now have this, but this first inversion of the C fully diminished chord can also be viewed as the D sharp diminished. And then when we invert this, we get the A sharp diminished. And when we invert this, we get the A diminished. Of course, this was F sharp diminished. Sorry for that. Then when we invert it further, we come back to where we were. So whereas we are talking of this, the notes are the same in the inversions, and therefore, when practicing, it is important. Once you've known this, it is like you have already known 4 of them. Now let's move to the next, which is now C sharp. If you look at C sharp, that is our second fully diminished chord. If we invert it, we have this. Another inversion will give us this now. The final inversion takes us to this. And if we invert it again, we come back to where we started. Now that is our second fully diminished chord. And the last one is going to be the D fully diminished. Remember D, F, G sharp, and the note B forms this chord. Now when we invert it, we bring this here. We now have the F fully diminished. We invert it again. We have the G sharp fully diminished. We invert it again. We have the B fully diminished. And when you invert it, we get our D fully diminished triad. And those three are the only fully diminished triads that we have. So I would want you to take your time, form these chords, slowly work on their inversions. Just work on the inversion slowly. And by the time you master the three, you shall have mastered all the fully diminished triads in the 12 scales. So it's something you need to take your time. So we have the first one here. Take your time. Just go through this slowly. And please take as long as it takes so that you can actually have this under your belt. Take all the time that this will require you to take so that you have that chord. Now, as we move towards the end, once you've mastered this chord, you'll realize that as we continue playing, this chord has got three very important roles, and that is why I said that it is one of the compulsory chords that every beginning keyboardist should have. Like the diminished chord because of its uniqueness, it is an excellent passing chord. It is basically in gospel music, you can rarely play without using the fully diminished chord as a passing chord. Then we also use it in chord substitution. If you look at the way the notes are, note number 1 and 5 in the diminished scale are actually a tritone away from each other. And then the number 3 and number 7 are also tritones. So when we strike a fully diminished chord, we are having two tritones carried in that. Because of that, it is very important in chord substitution, is also important as a passing chord. And finally, as we are going to see later on, we use the fully diminished chord in reharmonization. And that is very, very important. So the last bit there is what is the last uniqueness I was talking about this chord. This chord actually has got two tritones in it. The first tritone is the tritone of C and also the tritone of D sharp. And that is all contained in this particular chord. Actually, if you're finding value in this particular video, then I would urge you to like it, share it. And if at all you are in this channel for the first time or you haven't subscribed, please consider giving me a subscription so that you can help me develop the channel and continue giving some more free tutorials like this. Now, that is all we had today. That is all we had today for this particular tutorial. And remember, the illustration was in the key of C, but as you realize, the diminished triad uses a lot of black notes in this particular scale. So take your time if you're beginning to learn keyboard so that you can have the fully diminished triad under your belt. And I would urge you that you just practice it using the two hands. Bye bye. Tune into this channel for more free lessons like that. See you in the next video.